I offer my most loving pranams at Swami's divine lotus feet. Brothers and sisters, Sai Ram to all of you. Today, by Swami's blessings, we have a very distinguished messenger from the Caribbean nation of Trinidad and Tobago, Brother Fize Mohammed. For the last 30 years, almost every year, he has been blessed to make a pilgrimage to see our beloved Swami. And during these many trips, he has been blessed with spiritual wisdom, which he is here to share with us today. He was blessed to speak in the divine presence on a few occasions. One such occasion was during the World Youth Conference in 1999 at Prashanthi Nilayam. He has also been blessed to have served Trinidad and Tobago as a National Youth Coordinator and the National Spiritual Coordinator. The Swami's divine will, he will start today's satsang with an invocation to our beloved Lord from the Holy Quran. I request you to please join me in giving a warm welcome to Brother Fize Mohammed.
I offer my most loving and humble pranams at the divine lotus feet of my dear Mother Sai, Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba, embodiments of the divine Atma, embodiments of divine love. Om Shri Sai Ram. Auzu billahi minash shaitan nirajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladina an'amta alaihim. Ghairil maghdubi alaihim waladdallin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I begin in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. The essence of the prayer just recited is the devotee paying obeisance to Almighty Allah, the one who is gracious and the one who is merciful. The devotee is praying to Almighty Allah to guide him on the right path, the path of those whom he has favored, not those who have gone astray. The essence of the prayer is for the pilgrim to have divine remembrance of Allah throughout his entire life. My dear friends, it is a great privilege and honor to be amongst you to share the love of our beloved Mother Sai. Not a blade of grass moves, and Bhagwan has not willed it so. At the tender age of 17, I began searching for God. I read the books written by Paramahansa Yogananda. I delved into the teachings of Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Ramana Maharishi, and then started to dive deep into that divine ocean of Sufism with the great masters like Jalaluddin Rumi and Imam Ghazali. At the tender age of 17, having just finished secondary school, I used to frequent the mosque in my village and would often spend hours there in prayer, reading and meditation, trying to understand what was my purpose on the face of the earth. Why was I placed here? Where am I going? Where have I come from? And during one meeting in the mosque, I met the son of a distinguished imam. An imam is someone who is a learned person in Islam. He lived next to the mosque. And when our lives touched, I realized, being 10 years older than myself then, he was a very universal person, seeking also to find out the purpose of life. And he was to have a tremendous impact on my life for years to come. And often I would frequent his home and have long discussions about God and who is God and what is his relation to me in this existence on the face of the earth. And one day, my dear friends, he brings a book and he says, Fize, I want you to read this book. I look at the book and see this bushy-haired man. And I said, who is this? This is a Muslim. He says, this is God in human form. And immediately I feel very alarmed. And I said, how can you call this bushy-haired man God in human form? You must be mad. This is December 1979. He looked at me very seriously and he says, Fize, read the book with an open mind. I took the book home and started to read the first page. And devotees, there was a tremendous attraction to the words. And with every succeeding page, I could not put the book down. I read the entire book. Everything that we had discussed for months, for days before, the universality of God, his relationship to me in this incarnation, my purpose on the face of the earth, all the answers were contained there. And so my curiosity to learn more about Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba was nurtured. But there was a great conflict that arose in my mind. In Islam, God is formless. You will go to a mosque and never see a murti or a picture. So here was Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba saying, I am God. The conflict that arose in my heart was reconciling the form of Sathya Sai Baba with the formless aspect of Allah. And as I began to dive deeper into his teachings, he was also saying, I am God, but you are God also. As I delved into the pages of the Holy Quran and what we call the Hadith, which represents the sayings of the Holy Prophet Mohammed, upon whom be peace, I came across this beautiful saying. Allah says in the Holy Quran that Allah is closer to you than your jugular vein. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, upon whom be peace, once said, he who knows himself knows God. Sai is saying, I am God, but you are God also. There is a verse in Islam that goes like this. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. The orthodox translation of this verse is, there is no God but Allah, and the Holy Prophet Muhammad is his divine messenger. But the mystical men of Islam, the Sufis, interpret the same verse as this. Not that there is no God but Allah, but that there is nothing but Allah. And this brought comfort to my conflicting mind. But still there arose that conflict, and I began to pray to Almighty Allah to show me what the truth really is. And as the conflict started to become deeper and deeper in my heart, I sought out Muslim devotees of Sathya Sai, which were very few in my country. And I would spend long hours chatting with them how they were able to reconcile the form of Sathya Sai with the formless absolute. And after 2 years of this kind of spiritual inquiry, I decided that I had to see for myself. And in 1981, the first ever overseas Bal Vikas Guru training program was being conducted by Bhagwan himself. And he invited gurus from all over the world to come. And I took this opportunity to go. And devotees for 30 days, I watched Sathya Sai in action. I saw him take letters. I saw him materialize a vibhuti. I saw him so lovingly bless others. And with every discourse that he gave to us on the course, there was a dispelling of my doubts gradually with every passing day. I visited the mosque that Sathya Sai Baba built in October 1977. And I felt the love and compassion of this great divine humanitarian. The Muslims had to trek 7 miles to the nearest mosque. Bhagwan, out of his love and compassion, built this mosque for the Muslims. And in October of 1977, when the mosque was opened, Swami materialized pendants with Arabic inscriptions and spoke about the inner significance of fasting. This really touched my heart. And at the end of this 30 days in Prashanti Nilayam, I was fully convinced that here was a divine master. Devotees, what attracted me to Sathya Sai Baba was the universality of his message. Here was a universal teacher telling us there is only one religion, the religion of love. There is only one caste, the caste of humanity. There is only one language, the language of the heart. There is only one God, and He is omnipresent. Here was a universal teacher telling us whom the Muslims adore as Allah, whom the Christians adore as Jehovah, whom the Saivites adore as Pulabja. He, the one God, is the same God of all mankind. This beautiful teaching of universality touched my heart. And as I delved more into the teachings of Sathya Sai, I came across a verse that won my heart over. Bhagwan said, let the different faiths exist. Let them flourish. Let the glory of God be sung in all the languages in a variety of tunes. Respect the differences between each of the faiths and recognize them as valid as long as they do not extinguish the flame of unity. And Swami reminds us, I have not come to disturb or destroy anyone's faith, but to confirm each in his own, so that the Muslim becomes a better Muslim, the Hindu becomes a better Hindu, the Christian becomes a better Christian. I have not come to speak on behalf of any particular sect, creed or religion like the Hindu religion. I have come to awaken the divinity latent in each and every heart. Continue your worship of your chosen God along the lines already familiar to you. There is no need to change your chosen form of God and adopt a new one when you have seen me or heard me, for all names are mine and all forms are mine. Devotees, when I read these beautiful teachings of this divine master, it opened up my consciousness and heart even more. And when I came from Puttaparthi on the first trip, I was to encounter many challenges because of my belief now in this divine master. I was then the vice president of the Islamic youth group in the mosque. I used to lead what you call the azan, the holy call to pray. And I used to lead the namaz. In Islam, there are 5 cardinal fundamental principles. Zakat, where it is incumbent upon every Muslim to give 2.5% of his net earnings to charity. Belief in the oneness of Allah, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, is the second principle. The third principle is the praying of namaz or prayers 5 times daily. The fourth one is pilgrimage to Mecca at least once in a lifetime. And the fifth one is to engage in the monthly fast during the month called Ramadan. And devotees, when I came back home, it was during the holy month of Ramadan, I used to frequent the mosque. It is said in this month, the gates of heaven are open. Muslims throughout the world inhabit the mosque and pray 5 times a day. But there is a particular night in the holy month of Ramadan called Laylatul Qadr night. It is the most auspicious of all the nights in the holy month of Ramadan. And Muslims wait the entire night doing zikr and prayer and reading the Holy Quran. It is similar to what we may term Mahashivratri, where we sing bhajans throughout the night. And in order to pass the time in a divine way, I took a small book of Sathya Sai Baba with me. And one of the mosque board members saw the book. And knowing that I had gone to meet Sathya Sai Baba a little while before, he became concerned and alarmed. And a big mosque board meeting was held. And they said, now Brother Fize is believing in a man as God, which is totally against Islam. And because of this, devotees, they immediately removed my position as vice president. I was banned from leading the namaz and I was banned from calling the holy call to pray. The very self-same people in the mosque who used to call me beta and son now pass me straight. Not even assalamu alaikum. They told me I had converted to another religion. Devotees, it really pained my heart. But I stood true to what I felt in my heart. And after a while I told my mother that my very presence in the mosque was causing animosity to take place. So I detached myself for a while. And because of the way they were treating me, I said, Bhagwan, I need to stay away for a while. But look at the orchestration of this divine master. My mother had what you call a Maulud function at home. It is a function where you invite members of the mosque at your home to read the Holy Quran and to sing Islamic devotional songs. When all the speakers had finished, and when I had come back from Bhagwan's first visit, through Swami's grace, I had started to share little messages on my experiences with Sai. When my mother told of the Maulud function, I said, Ma, I would like to say a few words. And at the end of it all, devotees, I said very bravely but firmly that whether you call him Allah, Krishna, Rama, Christ, it is the self-same supreme consciousness, for God is one. And expecting to be condemned and treated in a hostile manner, the very imam in the mosque comes up to me and says, Brother Fize, what a good message you've given. And I said, Swami, these are the same people who literally threw me out of the mosque. But Swami was to orchestrate another divine miracle to show the oneness of this avatar. As I was giving these messages on Sai, there was a Muslim brother who came to one of them. And so impressed was he that he was celebrating his 70th birthday in the mosque. And I get a phone call one day. And he said, Brother Fize, I'm celebrating my 70th birthday in the mosque, the same mosque that I go to. And he says, I would like you to do the Fiti address. I say, Bhagwan. I go to this particular mosque and I give the talk. And I take most of the beautiful sayings of Sai about religion, about character, about love all, serve all, help ever, hurt never. And people were so mesmerized, they came to me and said, Brother Fize, we've never heard these teachings before. Where did you get them? And I say, there is a divine master walking the face of the earth, transforming the entire world. And so they began to become a change in the consciousness of the people. My dear friends, it is so a divine coincidence that today, the 19th of June, is the 28th anniversary of an accident, a motor vehicle accident that I had in Trinidad. Every day, every year, there's a public holiday called Labor Day in Trinidad. It's the 19th of June, which is today. And we had put a satsang at a devotee's home. And because that day was a holiday, the next day we sang bhajans throughout the night. And I was coming home transporting some devotees when the car that I was driving crashed into another one coming at a very high speed in the opposite direction. The steering came and hit me in my chest and I began to cough blood and I lost consciousness. There were cuts and bruises all over my face. When I awoke in the hospital, devotees were pouring tulsi water in my mouth and chanting the Gayatri. But one amazing thing happened. I felt absolutely no pain. June 1983, in October 1983, a group of 45 devotees from Trinidad of African, Indian, Chinese descent. We visited Puttaparthi. And in the very first interview that I get with my loving Lord, as I sit on the interview room ground, Bhagwan points at me like this and he says, you drive too fast. Then he puts his hand like this and he says, start early, drive slowly, reach safely. My dear friends, what do we do today? We start late. We drive at breakneck speed and we reach dead on time. Then I was sitting 2 feet from where he sat. And as I was looking up, his hand started to make this circular motion. And Bhagwan is a good cricketer, you see, he catches well. I see the pendant come from the middle of his hand and he catches it. And he's holding it and thinking he's giving the devotee at the back of me. I bend my head and Swami says, no, you. So I put my hands out and Swami drops this pendant in my hand and he takes a group of devotees into the inner interview room. And then everybody is saying, Brother Fize, please show us. And as I began to show, Swami comes back out. And he does like this. No exhibition. And so for the last 28 years, I've always worn it inside. Then there was an elderly gentleman in the group who always used to look after my welfare. And he gets up and he said, Swami, don't you think we should get Brother Fize married? At that time I was just 23. And immediately I spring up because at that time my mind was preoccupied only with self-realization and searching to find God. And I said, Swami, the only way I will get married is if you choose the girl. He said, nahi, nahi, nahi. I will never ever forget each word that Sathya Sai has told me. He said, let parents decide and I will bless. Devotees, it took 8 years after 1983 to 1991, Swami orchestrated as he does when he wants something to happen. My parents decide. And then I said, Swami, I'm not going to marry this girl until you physically give me permission, because marriage is a lifetime responsibility. So I go to Prashanti Nilayam, October 1991. That beautiful Krishna that Bhagwan sits next to. And it is the last darshan now. I write this letter to Bhagwan and I put the girl's name, the place we were to get married, etc. And I said, Swami, I challenge you. If you take this letter from me today, then I know you would have approved of the contents. If you don't take it, I am on my way to a realization. So I tell the Sevadal, sir, may I sit in front? He said, Acha, last darshan he put me in front. So I hold the letter in my hand like this and Bhagwan begins to walk in that circular way. About 15 feet in front of me, he stops. He turns around and he's going back to the mandir. And then I begin to smile because I was very happy. I said, Swami, thank you. And as I begin to put it away, Swami stops, turns around, looks straight where I was sitting, and he walks very briskly and he plucks the letter from my hand. As if to say, no, you are not going to get away. I fall at his feet and I cry. 1 month after, on the 24th of November 1991, I get married in Trinidad. Now remembering what Bhagwan had said, that let parents decide and I will bless, we really wanted to go back to Puttaparthi. I am a Muslim, I married a Hindu. My wife is also a Sai devotee. But because of the commonality of Sai, there is no conflict. In fact, I do more pujas and havan than her. But having no money, we prayed to Swami, Swami, we really want to come to get your blessings. And look how the Lord will orchestrate it. Air India was the airline we used to travel from Trinidad to India. They had a raffle 3 months before. All the people that had traveled, they were putting their names in this bottle, and whichever name came up first, you would win a free trip to India. And I get a call 2 days after. Is this Mr. Fize Mohammed? Yes. Sir, you've just won a free trip to India. And I thank Bhagwan. Swami is love incarnate. Even before you think, he's already done it. He exceeds our wildest and greatest expectations. The room that we got in Puttaparthi was like a wedding suite. When normally it would be a flat, bare room, this room had beautiful pictures of Swami, a table, a chair, and a tablecloth, as if Bhagwan was welcoming us. On the 16th of December 1991, Swami grants what I call the wedding interview. But devotees, I must confess that marriage was very difficult for me in the beginning. You see, for the first 31 years of my life, it was about I. Then from I, it had to go to we. And when children come, is we. So Swami looks at me and he says, because my wife and I are always quarreling. Swami calls it adjustment sadhana. So he looks at me and he said, you temper. And he looks at my wife and he says, you hot. And then he put his 2 fingers like this, up, down, but always together. Then Swami got very serious and he looked at me and he said, how many children do you want? And you know we fathers, I jump up and I said, Swami, Swami, I want a boy first. And then he says, why do you want boy? Girls are better. He said, girls take better care of parents. They have more love, consideration and devotion. Swami looked at me and he said, boy only thinks about mother-in-law and father-in-law. So I swallow my pride and I say, Bhagwan, let it be your will. He said, Acha, I give one boy, one girl. Devotees, 2 girls came. In a subsequent interview, I asked Swami, I said, Swami, the last time you say you give one boy, one girl, now 2 girls have come. And Swami, in true Trinidadian style, he does like this. What can I do? And then he gets very serious and he looks at me straight into my eyes and he says, I give very good children. Today, devotees, these children, being an SSC teacher for the last 30 years, before they could have even walked, I used to take them with me when I'm teaching the classes. They're vegetarians at birth. They have been born in Sai, grown up in Sai. Today they are 17 and 18 years old and active members of the young adult wing of the organization. They sing bhajans, qasidas, hymns. They give messages to do seva. Devotees, in all of these years, I've never once had to correct them. They have been model children. And this is why I want to emphasize to you the importance of Bal Vikas and SSC. I asked Swami, or before we reach there, Swami begins to give a little talk on marriage. And he says, marriage is 23 hours and 55 minutes of pain. And 5 minutes of pleasure. Then I say in my mind, Swami, you're telling me that after I've taken a step. He says, first 2 years, wife nice. Next 2 years, wife is knife. Then he says, wife, W-I-F-E. He says, if you get a bad wife, the W stands for worries invited forever. And if you get a good wife, the W is wisdom invited forever. And devotees, in one of the interviews, there was one particular lady so enthusiastic in wanting to get her doubts clarified, she was overtaking the interview without giving others a chance. And when it went a little too far, Swami so lovingly and wickedly, he bends down by her ears and tells her, mother-in-law, keep quiet. Swami is the eternal humorist, but with each joke, there is a very powerful message. In that group of 45, there was a huge lady who got up on the lady's side and said, Swami, Swami, interview. And Baba looked at her and said, where will you pass? Interview room though, small. When he reaches on the men's side, a gentleman gets up and he said, Swami, Swami, when are you leaving? Baba does like this. Ask the ladies, they know everything. My dear friends, had it not been for the grace of my loving Lord, I would not be alive today. I have come from a broken home. My father was an alcoholic. My brother was a drug addict. My elder brother was an epileptic. And so there used to be a lot of domestic violence in our home. And when I came in contact with Sai in 1981 in that first interview, I came back home and I prayed to Swami I said, Bhagwan, I want my family unity restored, and I will give myself to you in seva. I stopped eating meat in 1981, and because I used to cook it at home, I built a separate room from the house, and there I used to do my meditation and Gayatri every single day. And my prayer then devotees to this mother. I'd never known what the love of a mother is until I came into contact with Mother Sai. And I prayed to Swami that he would transform and bring harmony and unity in my family. And devotees, God always answers our prayers in His own way and in His own time. Today, my father has given up alcoholic. He lectures now in the Alcoholic Anonymous of how to help people give it up. My brother has stopped drugs. My mother has now been to Puttaparthi 3 times, and Swami has blessed her bountifully. And I saw the miracle of the transforming effect of Swami's love in my family. And I'll share with you this experience. I've always looked upon him as my mother. And on one trip, I took my mother with me, and we were coming back home. So the group wanted to do a little shopping. And gentlemen, you should know, ladies, they want to buy the whole of India and put it in 2 suitcases. So my mother carries me shopping in this underground shopping area in Delhi called the Palika Bazaar. So she sees a nice kurta and she wanted me to try it on. So I had with me the pouch with the passport, the money, the valuables, etc. because we were taught not to leave it in the hotel. And I rested the pouch on the counter and forgot it. After a few minutes, I realized that I didn't have it. My mother began to quarrel. She said, you know how much people it have in India? 1 billion. How are you going to get it back? I ran frantically to each shop, but no one had seen it. And when she started to quarrel after a while, I just detached. And I sat on the step that led upstairs. And I held on this pendant of Swami and I began to pray, Om Shri Sai Ram, Om Shri Sai Ram, Om Shri Sai Ram, focusing on Swami to the best of my ability for about 3 minutes. I opened my eyes. And out of the hundreds of people milling around, I see a 7-year-old boy dressed in immaculate white emerging from the group of people and walking straight towards me. When he gets to within a foot of where I was, I saw he had the pouch in his hand. And he walks up to me and he said, Sir, did you lose this? And anxiously I took the pouch and I checked for all the valuables and documents for a few seconds, and when I looked up, he had disappeared. And I thank Bhagwan for his divine grace. My dear friends, every question that I asked Swami, he provided an answer for me. In one interview, I said, Swami, what is the seva? What is the service I should do in this life? And he said, you must teach the children, help the older people, and visit the hospitals. In one general interview again, I said, Swami, may I speak with you privately? And he said, Acha, so lovingly. He takes me inside, and as I sit down, Swami reaches out and pinches me on my cheek, and he said, you must speak on Sai experience and morality. And then I said, Swami, but I don't use any written material and my eyes sometimes are closed. And this is what Bhagwan did. His face, devotees, began to change, and the color of his complexion began to change. His eyes began to bulge, and it is as if the form of Sathya Sai started to expand in the room. And Bhagwan does like this, you go and speak and I will be there inside you. And I felt an energy of sigh enter my heart when he said that. And so now I strive to put what he has told into practice. But I want us to remind ourselves, devotees, of some of Swami's basic teachings. And let it be a reminder for all of us. His greatest message is love. And that is why he says, start the day with love. Fill the day with love. Spend the day with love. End the day with love. That is the way to God. Swami says, the self lives by getting and forgetting. Love lives by giving and forgiving. Self is lovelessness, but love is selflessness. So live in love. And very powerfully, Swami answered this question in 1983, in that very first interview. I asked Swami this. I said, Swami, how do you control lust? And this is what Baba did. Like a true Trinidadian again, he said, And then everybody got a little more attentive. And I said, Swami, how do you control lust? And this is what he said. He said, lust is dust. He said, example, flower tree. Lust is like the picker, the thorn. Love is like the rose. Always pick the rose. He says lust is a body-to-body relationship. Love is heart to heart. So he says, love, 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 and all will be well. My dear friends, this to me is the most powerful teaching of Sai. If we can love all and serve all, then all our problems will finish. And I always used to look at myself and say, Swami, when I used to go to bhajans in Trinidad, there was a contradiction to Swami's universal message to what was being practiced in the satsang. The very first satsang I went to, I'm only hearing Hindu bhajans. I see the altar with only murtis and Hindu pictures that I could not even conceive and understand. But yet I am hearing in my mind, the Lord is saying, let the different faiths exist. Let the glory of God be sung in all the languages in a variety of tunes. But I was not seeing it in the center. And I said, Swami, this is not right. And over a very trying period, challenging period in Trinidad and Tobago, a group of non-Hindu devotees, we got together and slowly started to inject in the devotional singing simple Islamic songs and Christian hymns. So that now in a satsang in Trinidad, when you go, whether you're Muslim, Christian or Hindu, you can feel connected to your own belief. On the altars we have pictures of Christ with a beautiful picture of the Kaaba and a picture of Sai. And this should be the universal message of Bhagwan. And now Swami has left the physical form. Our lives must reflect his message. Devotees, let me ask you all a question. What color is the Atma? What religion is the Atma? Why do we treat one another differently based on caste, religion, creed, or color? When we remove these differences, we realize that we are one in the spirit. These are only physical differences that tend to separate us. And Bhagwan has come to bring us all together under the united umbrella of divine love. What was most amazing in Prashanti Nilayam, when I used to sit for darshan, I would hear the azan reverberating throughout the ashram, testifying to the universality of the message of Sai. So devotees, it is so simple. Bhagwan has said, whatever country you may belong, we should be able to adapt the satsangs according to the practices there. In Trinidad we have Muslim, Christian and Hindus, and now we sing all the devotional songs. And the other sayings of Swami that touched my heart was when he spoke about education and character. Bhagwan says, if there is righteousness in the heart, there will be beauty in the character. When there is beauty in the character, there will be harmony in the home. When there is harmony in the home, there will be order in the nation. And when there is order in the nation, there will be peace in the world. So it's about transformation of the individual. The miracles of Sathya Sai Baba is just to draw us to him. As he himself has said, these are visiting cards to hook you. And then Bhagwan says, I begin to cook you. He begins to work on our minds and transform our lives from animalistic to divine until we realize who we really are. So character is very important to Swami. This is what he said once in a discourse. If you lose money, you can earn more. If you lose your property, you can purchase another. Bhagwan said if you even lose your wife, you can remarry. But when you lose character, everything is lost. He once said this, one may be well versed in many branches of secular learning. One may have gained mastery over many worldly skills. One may occupy exalted positions of power and authority. One may have at once command enormous wealth. But if one is not endowed with an impeccable character, which is the greatest of life's possessions, one can forfeit in a trice all the achievements and benefits derived from all acquisitions. A person devoid of virtue is no better than a mere brute. Character is man's richest ornament, and conduct his real treasure. Bhagwan once told his students, I do not care about the marks you make in your exam. I care about the remarks people make about your conduct. And the last teaching, devotees, is service. This is the Sri Sathya Sai service organization. Service is very, very close to Swami's heart. He says, hands that help are holier than lips that pray. A pure thought from a pure heart is better than a mantra. You need offer God only two things, a pure heart and selfless service. So great is Swami's emphasis on service that he says, if while you are engaged in japa and meditation and someone comes and knocks at your door, you are to leave the meditation and go and serve that person. The spiritual benefits so derived from the service will be much greater than the hour or two you may have spent in prayer. Bhagwan's own words. He says, 1 hour of community service is better than 1 month of meditation. But the service, Swami says, must be performed with the right attitude, the bhav, the feeling. He says, never feel that you are up here serving someone who is lesser than yourself. He says, always feel and be grateful to God for creating the opportunity for you to shatter your ego and become one with the individual you are serving. When we can perform service like this, devotees, in this reverential attitude, we will be pleasing Swami. Swami told me in one interview, you talk too much. He says, when it comes to talking, many of us are heroes. When it comes to putting it into practice, we are all zeros. So we must become heroes in practicing the teachings of Bhagwan. And devotees, we must not be part-time devotees. The Sathya Sai organization should have members who are committed to Bhagwan 24/7. We should not lock Swami in here until next week and then live a different life. Part-time devotion, Bhagwan says, will bring part-time results. And our life must reflect his message. So when we leave here and we interact in our daily activities, how we dress, how we talk to one another, the principles that govern our life should overflow in all activities. This is what Swami calls practical spirituality. Taking the energy of Sai and weaving it in every thought, word and deed, so that our very lives become an offering to Sai. That is the devotee Bhagwan really wants. And now that this physical form is no more, it forces each and every one of us to dive deep within and connect with the inner Sai, the Sai that will always be with you. When you can have that divine romance, that divine connection, wherever you are, Sai is there. The journey has always been within. It's not about the interview now, it's about the inner view, Bhagwan says. My dear friends, I feel very compelled to talk a little bit about the importance of Bal Vikas and SSC. Swami says, no written word nor spoken plea can teach young minds what men should be, nor all the books on all the shelves, but what the teachers are themselves. Swami once said, if one student in a class is bad, that is not so bad. When one teacher is bad, generations of children will become bad. Good teachers plus good parents equal good students. Swami once said to parents, 99.9% of parents spoil their children. He also said, if a child should go bad, blame the parents. We must become examples of what we want our children to be. And I'll share with you this beautiful story that shows you the essence of what Swami's education is all about. There was a school supervisor in India visiting a primary school that had children 7 years to 9 years. The teacher had a huge map of India on the board and was teaching the history of India. And after he had completed the class, the school supervisor asked permission to question the children to see how much they had learned. So he took a similar map of India from his back pocket and he tore it into little pieces and it fell on the table in front of him. And he says, I challenge this entire class to put this map of India together. Some of the most brilliant children in the class came forward, but none could put the map together. Even the teacher tried and he failed. But there was a little child, 7 years old. He couldn't read nor write. The other children used to make fun of him. He had no brains. He used to sit at the back of the class. When all the children had tried, he got up and he said, Sir, may I try? All the children began to think, what can he do? The little child walked very slowly to the front of the class in pin drop silence. And within 2.5 to 3 minutes, he put the whole map of India together. And this shocked everyone in the class, even the supervisor. And he said, my dear fellow, how were you able to put this map of India together when some of the most brilliant children in your class couldn't do it, and even your teacher tried and he failed? And again he put his little hands like this and he said, Sir, you see, when you were tearing the map, I was looking at your hands. And I noticed at the back of the map was a picture of a child. And all that I did was put the pieces of the child together. And when I put the pieces of the child together, I put the whole map of India together. If we can assemble the child, we will assemble the world. 75% of Swami's time was spent with the children and the young adults. That should be a cue for us to dedicate more time as parents and as teachers, as SSC teachers, to really spend more time, because these children, these young adults are the future leaders. Bhagwan once said what the young adults in the Sathya Sai organization will do in the next 5 years, the organization has taken 30 years to do. Devotees, how much? I'd just like to share a little bit about the Trinidad experience. Trinidad and Tobago is a twin island in the Caribbean. We are the richest of the Caribbean islands, having oil and gas. Bhagwan once said of Trinidad, there is a little island in the Caribbean that is the jewel of my eye. It's Trinidad. Charles and Faith Penn, you all are aware of, very, very close devotees of Bhagwan. In 1981, they were requested to come to Trinidad, and he always gets Swami's permission to come. So he prays to Bhagwan for guidance whether he should go to Trinidad and Tobago. And look what Swami does. Swami, in a reverie, shows him Trinidad and Tobago. Tobago means to Baba go. Isn't that amazing what our Lord can do? Tobago, to Baba go. Whenever I see Tobago now, I see Baba. We have 1.2 million people in Trinidad and Tobago. You can take 3 hours to drive from one end to the next. 1,869 square miles. And in 1.2 million people, we have 52 Sai Baba centers in almost every village in the country. On television for the whole nation to see, every single week we screen 2 1-hour DVDs of Bhagwan with his message, his mission and his service projects for the whole nation to see. We have 4 radio programs on 4 different stations that broadcast through the airways the glories of the Sai avatar. So whether you like it or not, Sai is in your face. 7 government ministers have gone to Puttaparthi from the last regime. And our first female prime minister now attends Sai Baba satsangs. You can go to a Sai Baba satsang every single day of the week in Trinidad. We have satsangs from Monday right on to Sunday. Right now in Trinidad, every single Sunday we build a house for a needy family. The average cost is about 8,000 US. And this house takes 6 to 8 hours to build. We have some photos we can show. We have beach cleanups, prison visits. We do 108 operations for Swami's birthday every year, absolutely free. Medical camps, scholarships, whatever the service is, all the centers are involved in it. And so Trinidad and Tobago is really, really blessed for such a small twin island, what we have been able to achieve with Bhagwan's grace. My dear friends, as I close, I want to share with you these words of Bhagwan. And it's really about the way forward, seeing that Swami has willingly given up the form. What next? Let us remind ourselves that he was never ever the form. That was simply a very tiny speck of this ocean of love, expressing love to humanity in that form. What I'd like us to do, devotees, let us close our eyes. Let us try and sit up quietly, and for the next few minutes, just feel that the Lord is talking to you. These are Swami's exact words when he says, your mission has begun. These are my words to you, my devotees. Each of you have a unique and valuable role to play in this lifetime. Only those whom I have called can serve me. My mission has now reached that point in time when each of you now has work to do. This planet Earth has a purpose in the great galaxy in which it is held. That purpose is now unfolding itself before our very eyes. Allow yourselves to impart the purity of heart within you to all living beings and creatures, but do not reach for the fruits of your work. This part of my mission is performed in absolute silence. Be always aware that the moment you allow your ego to descend upon you, my work ceases. When you have overcome your negative unmindfulness, you will again become my source. The multiplication of my love will be felt throughout the world. I have prepared you for this work over many incarnations. My work is ceaseless, and so your work too is without end. Know that I am within you and without you. There is no difference. Rid yourselves of petty matters forevermore. My darshan will pour forth from me to and through you. You may be unaware of this constant action. Be ever pure in heart and soul, and mankind in your lifetime will benefit from your unique qualities. The time is fast approaching when all of humanity will live together as one in harmony. That time will be here sooner than one expects. Before it arrives, be prepared to do whatever is necessary to reveal to every single living thing the true purpose of existence. It is not something that anyone alive can imagine. It is not something that anyone can try to aspire to. I can only tell you that its beauty is magnificent beyond all dreams. And as each of you perform your silent work, I will embrace you to my heart. And henceforth your souls shall be lifted up. Your faces shall reveal my presence within. This I say to you, my devotees, from the Lord's mountaintop, where all the universes become one. Be about my work, my beloved bhaktas. Your breath will carry the scent of the blossoms of heaven. Your example will be that of angels. Your joy will be my joy. These are the words of our majestic Mother Sai. Devotees, if we can take at least one of what Swami has given us and put it into practice, we and our lives will be enriched. I did get a request to sing a simple Islamic song at the end, and I'd like to sing this now. It's very, very simple. For ease of purposes, I'm going to make believe you all are Bal Vikas children, no? So I'll just say the words and you can repeat after me and then we'll sing it together. So the first line goes like this. La ilaha illallah. See that? Come on children, that was not good enough. La ilaha illallah.
La ilaha illallah.
La ilaha illallah.
La ilaha illallah.
Muhammadur Rasulallah.
Muhammadur Rasulullah.
La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulallah.
La ilaha
simply means La ilaha illallah. There is nothing but Allah, and the Holy Prophet is his divine messenger. And the second line is Subhanallah. Subhanallah.
Subhanallah.
Glory be to God. So, very simple. There is no God or there is nothing but Allah, and the Holy Prophet Muhammad is his messenger. Glory be to God. So I'll sing, we can sing it in bhajan style. First line we sing twice slow, and then second line fast. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. Subhanallah, Subhanallah. Subhanallah, 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 La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. Subhanallah, Subhanallah. Subhanallah, 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 La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. May Bhagwan Shri Sathya Sai Baba bless and guide each and every one of us. And as we aspire on the spiritual path, let our fervent and heartfelt prayer be that we will continuously strive to be wonderful examples of His divine love. Jai Sai Ram.
Thank you, Brother Fize. Before I invite Brother Bob Singh, who has some very fond memories of Brother Fize Mohammed from his days in Guyana, to express our collective gratitude, I had a couple of announcements. I wish to remind you that today Brother Fize Mohammed has very kindly consented to conduct a breakout session with us. This is primarily for the SSC children, teachers, parents and the young adults. However, all of us are welcome to attend. This would be at Asamai Temple after Mangala Arati. Now welcome Brother Bob.
My loving and humble pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet. Sairam everyone. To all the newcomers here today, we welcome you to the Flushing Science Center. And I know that thanks will not be enough from me, because last weekend only Bhagwan blessed Brother Fize to be in Houston and Miami and Orlando, and he spoke over there, and I thought he was coming from there to New York. I was sent him back home to Trinidad, and then he came back on Friday, only to speak here today. So we are very thankful.